This Halloween, I thought I'd talk about something a bit spookier for a change. A little bit more creepy, with some blood or ghosts or something. Uh, as if the show needs to get darker. I mean, I already talked about disasters and war on the regular, but, well, whatever. The show I'm going to be talking about today is GARO, a show that I've always felt like I've had the wrong impression about. GARO emerges forth from the absolutely twisted mind of Keita Amemiya, the guy that did that freaky-ass Dora Franken shit in Z-Ranger. Amemiya also directed a bunch of Jetman, a super beloved Sentai, Commander Zeto, yeah, that's him too. He's also the guy that did character design on Hagane, that one Super Nintendo game you can't afford. He's also just done all kinds of fucking work in Tokusatsu. Amemiya is one of the few single artistic figures in this genre that you could hold up as a genuine pillar of the whole thing. He's probably as close as someone in modern Toku can get to being as iconic as Ishinomori or Tsuburaya. Sure, Garo's not really as important as Kamen Rider or Ultraman, but as far as Heisei stuff goes, it's about as close as you can get as far as wholly original ideas go in this field. In 2005, Amemiya created GARO. GARO would be a show actually aimed at adults, unlike some of the Kamen Rider shows that diehards claim are for adults actually, and not for babies. The show would set itself apart from its Tokyo contemporaries by tackling more adult subject matter and pulling less punches when it comes to the more brutal aspects of its plot. On a technical level, GARO would also just go way harder on the out-of-suit action and CGI action. On the suit design front, I mean, just look at this shit. Amemiya's going fucking hog wild here. He's the total pig in shit. He's happy as hell. This is Amemiya completely in his element. If you've ever looked at pieces of his art, you can just see how much of that is splashed all over the show. The GARO suit is fucking immaculate, and the monster design is super inventive and cool, even nearly 15 years later. The horrors are gross in all the right ways, and the suits for the knights are all cool in all the right ways too. The show's design sensibilities are just completely on point here. The shit completely rules on an aesthetic level, and the show even sounds cool on paper. But I was kinda dragging my feet on getting to this show, and I think a little bit of that is because of the way that this show is usually sold to people. I think a little bit too much focus on the conversation around GARO, at least for newcomers, is centered on how badass and dark the show is, when in actuality, the badassery of the show was kinda badass in that 14-year-old Slipknot fan way, Like, this shit is cool in the way that Devil May Cry is cool, It's a bunch of goobers walking around in trench coats like that's normal or something, and silently doing a cool sword thing and having like a dark aura about it though, because you just don't understand, man. And for God's sakes, the show even features a bestial unleashed form. At every turn there's a Papa Roach AMV just around the corner, waiting for its perfect moment to pounce. Don't get me wrong, I love this stuff, but it's never the way that people describe this show's particular brand of cool. Everyone focuses on, the nudity and the gore, and that just kind of sidestep the fact that the show is incredibly sweet and heartfelt and kind of dumb and cool. Much in the same way that I said for children's media in my Ryuki video, it's sweet and heartfelt because it's a show for badass adults, not in spite of it. See, underneath all the badass swords and demons and freak-on-a-leash-isms is a fairy tale about a no-nonsense knight and the normal girl that transforms his cold, caged-off heart into a warm, loving heart that makes room for friendship and people to lean on. Bam! Hell yeah. GARO rules. There you go, end of video. Fuck yeah, that's the whole thing. Alright, fine, I'll keep going. So let's start at the beginning. GARO is a show about Koga, a Makai knight sworn to protect the citizens of his jurisdiction from dark entities called horrors. Horrors are monsters born from the dark hearts of mankind when they come in contact with certain totems that lay about in our world. Makai knights are humans that are able to make contact with and destroy these horrors, making use of tools specifically created for the destruction of these demons. Koga transforms into GARO, the most famous and respected Makai knight. In the first episode, he's dispatching with the horror, and the blood of the horror is splashed on the skin of Kaoru, a normal human girl who's just... man, she's just trying. She's just goddamn trying her best as an artist in this hell shit world. The important thing about the fact that she got horror blood splashed on her is that, from this point forward, she's highly susceptible to horror attacks. And even if she doesn't die from that, she'll die in 100 days' time. Kaoru, of course, knows nothing about this and thanks Koga, proceeding on her way. Koga's in fact supposed to kill anyone splashed with horror blood, but he decides to keep her alive to use as bait, to make his hunt for future horrors easier. The show from that point onward settles into a pretty comfortable and fun place as an episodic series, where Koga keeps saving Kaoru from a wide assortment of horrors. This first leg of the show was a really great showcase from Amemiya and his team to really stretch their legs with monster design and great horror-infused action storytelling. This show was great at dealing with the episodic format while also steadily developing the relationship between Kaoru and Koga. After a certain point, before you get too comfortable, another Makai Knight is introduced, the antagonistic and vengeful Rei, who assumes the title of the Makai Knight Zero. After Zero's introduction, Garo deems Kaoru's situation a bit too dangerous for his liking, and tells her to keep closer to him, and so she moves into Koga's cool Batman mansion. This immediately annoys Koga, but Koga's concern here is the first real change in his character as a result of Kaoru's involvement in his life. And he's now starting to feel responsibility for her, and how he's the reason that she's constantly in so much trouble in the first place. And that, my friends, is very good and awesome character development. I love Koga so much. One of the most surprising and delightful elements of the show to me is the fact that it's sort of a coming-of-age story, just with the usual coming-of-age time frame delayed. I feel like this is specifically something that's incredibly relatable to adults on a genuine level. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but directly after high school, I had no goddamn clue what I wanted to do with my life. College seemed like the sensible path to go down, but I was only 17. How was I supposed to know what I wanted to do with my life? I was young and stupid. Have you ever met a 17-year-old? Those kids are dumb as hell. And if you don't think they're dumb, you're probably 16. So a lot of my quote-unquote adult years were spent feeling around in the dark for any sense of direction. Anything to go on for some sort of stability. I feel Koga, Kaoru, and Rei are all in a similar situation. Koga is having trouble filling the enormous shoes that his late father left behind. Kaoru is a struggling artist in a uncaring city, and similarly to Koga, she's trying to fill the shoes of her late father, a well-known and loved artist in his own right. And finally, Rei has just lost everything and everyone in his life, so he's looking for any sort of reason to keep living, leading to his lust for revenge. GARO is a show where these people have to find themselves and lean on each other so that they can grow and become the people they've always meant to be. And as a quote-unquote adult, yeah, that really struck me in that tender heart place. I want to get back to a point really quick about the actual action in this show, because it's completely incredible. The out-of-suit action is on a level that's rarely matched by Kamen Rider, Ultraman, or Super Sentai, and it's seriously impressive stuff, and utterly captivating. The show's lore works in a time limit of only 99.9 seconds for the activation of the GARO armor. This piece of lore does a great job at limiting the amount of time that they have to lug out these big suits of armor, but that detail also gives the creators a huge amount of leeway to put in a lot of time into making the out-of-suit choreography really shine. It's really smart stuff that sidesteps the tendency for fans to always complain about why Koga doesn't just use a damn suit all the time. Also, it's a CGI budget. It's them working with a CGI budget. It's really, it's clever and it's resourceful. It's just really good stuff, guys. The damn suit is just so gorgeous. Oh god. Because of the previously mentioned timer on the suit, the image of that golden suit of armor becomes really important feeling. Every time Koga does that great pose, cutting a hole in the air to unleash a beacon of light that'll shatter the darkness, you feel completely pumped. Shit's about to go down, and shit's about to look really good doing it. The GARO suit is gold as fuck. The color gold gets kind of a bad rap in the Tokusatsu club in the West, because a lot of folks feel the color is misused or gaudy, and while you can argue that for some suits here and there ain't touching the GARO suit. It's gold as fuck, but it serves a thematic purpose. You can't miss gold. Gold is a really hopeful, aspirational color, and the suit is lit in such a way at times that it makes it look like it genuinely has an aura. The GARO suit is literally a knight in shining armor. Despite the actual ferocious appearance of his face, he's a beacon of hope in a way that few toku shows are really able to capture this well. I've been praising Amemiya this whole video, but this concise, perfect execution really makes me want to say that this suit is possibly the man's finest work. Zero's great too. The silver is a natural counter to Garo's gold, and the dual blades distinguish the two not just in design, but in fighting style as well. There are some fights between Zero and Garo where they just go all out, and it's some of the most outstanding Toku action someone could reasonably ask for. Oh yeah, there's also Kiba. God fucking damn Kiba. I think it's also worth mentioning the show's use of CGI as well. I think people at large, even in the Tokusatsu fanbase, are unfair to Tokusatsu CGI. I personally never really mind it. I can't and won't expect Hollywood-level work from Japanese studios, nor will I really want to. CGI in Toku has its own charm, and while it definitely gets better over the years, it's not like they go for a realistic or convincing look of something like Avengers Endgame or anything. The usage of CGI in Tokusatsu, to me, feels like an exercise of ambition, a genuine use of the art of animation to heighten the live action, and I would never really want to discourage that ambition from these studios or these creatives. Sure, there are some moments I think could have used work on the execution for CGI, like there's a sort of infamous scene from the last episode of Kamen Rider Build. Not gonna spoil it, gonna avoid all of that, just stick with my point here, where the main character uses an exclusive form, Rabbit Dragon, to defeat the big bad boss. Does it look great? No. Would I have preferred if they used a suit? Yes. Would Toei have had money to manufacture a new suit at the end of production for this year-long show to make a suit where they could just do a quick CGI scene instead? Probably not. Would I deny this show this amazing moment where the themes congeal into this great piece of final action? Absolutely not, and that's the point. Garo goes all the fuck out with CGI in 2005. Most of this shouldn't age well. Some of it likely doesn't. Do I care? Hell no. And because someone so well versed in visual art like Amemiya is at the head of this whole operation, the use of the CG gets so fantastical and weird and unique, Garo pulls it off spectacularly. Probably one of the best TV tokus I've seen up to this point about CGI. I love that, and I think getting caught up in being unconvinced about the frankly cartoonish CGI is sort of robbing yourself of really appreciating how imaginative and fun this all is. As Garo inches towards its final stretch of episodes, a lot of these points weave together into something seriously great. Koga and Rei work together a lot more often as they become doubtful of the organization that sends them on their hunts. Kaoru starts to learn more about the nature of her situation as she follows in the footsteps of her father, finishing and refining the work he had done years ago. As this is happening, Rei is finally getting to the bottom of the murder of his family by a mysterious Makai Knight, whom he originally thought to be Koga. It is revealed late in the show that a third Makai Knight, Barago, a dark knight by the name of Kiba, is the source of our protagonist's pain. Kiba killed Rei's family and Koga's father, and he implanted a seal for the summoning of the ultimate great big bad horror, Messiah, into Kaoru on a chance appearance when she was young. In worse shows, this would feel like a contrivance. But here, this Kiba revelation feels clever and really does a good job of starting to tie the bow on this whole thing. With this revelation in front of them, that many of the life events of these three characters were engineered by one man, Garo once again shows its great big heart under all the cool and badass shit by doubling down on the fact that our heroes can defeat Barago and move forward, creating a new path for their future. This point is best displayed in probably my favorite plotline in the whole show, being Kaoru's search for answers concerning her father and his unfinished picture book. Kaoru's father was a well-loved artist, and in his final years he was creating a picture book for children, a book about a golden knight, based on the chance meeting he had with Koga's father. He left the last couple pages of this book blank, and this had haunted Kaoru for years. How was it supposed to end? It's an obvious mirror to the uncertainty in her future, and for the future of her friends. She spends the entire series painting and trying to find her way, with this question powering her motivation throughout her artistic journey. This show has a lot of things to say about art, actually. There's an episode in particular that focuses on a bad artist, a sculptor that genuinely gets enraged with his female models, and turns into a horror to give him the power to control women and make a perfect piece of art. It's a really upsetting episode and a harsh episode to watch, as the sculptor straight up uses the pain and death of women to build up his pieces of art, and in the final fight scenes of the episode, he actually admits that he was never good at art in the first place. He builds his art on pain and ends his life pitiful as a result. I bring this up to say that it feels like parts of the show feel like Amemiya Mamiya and his team behind him working through the process of creating art, a genuinely new and unique tokusatsu series to carry the baton of iconic tokusatsu works like Ishinomori and Tsuburaya before him. He doesn't come up with anything definitive, it seems. It's not like Mamiya has any answers of how to carry this immense and self-imposed burden. He spells out a contemptible way that some people deal with the process of creating art, and also provides an aspirational thesis for the creation of something new, influenced by your heroes, your forefathers, like the characters have, And that thesis is, just create something. Forge your own path ahead with love in your heart, and it'll set you straight. With this same feeling in her heart, Kaoru finishes her father's picture book, and Koga and Rei destroy the evil that plagued their pasts. Koga's father and Rei's family are avenged, and it took love and cooperation to do that. You never see what exactly Kaoru does for the ending of her dad's book, and that's a smart and beautiful choice. This final point is left up to interpretation in that way, and that's such a gorgeous note to leave out on. Honestly, thinking about it now, despite Garo's reputation as this dark and horrifying show, the show actually is way less dire than shows like Kuga or Ryuki. Those writer shows end up in a really great place, though, and do a lot of great work in the realm of kids' media, where those stories are greatly needed for their time. GARO feels greatly needed for newly christened adults uncertain about their future, and in that way, it feels like the greatest pep talk in the world, from good old Grandpa Amemiya. GARO wraps itself up incredibly, as a one-and-done type of thing, which is surely by design, and it'd still be a legendary thing as a standalone series. The thing about that, though, is that GARO was actually super successful, spinning out into a bunch of character-focused films and sequel series and anime. If any of those are anything like this series, then I'm very excited to dive in for some more. I'm always down for a little bit more light in my life.